supposed to stop Asian hornets getting in. So it's peeing down out there, which makes it a great day for me to be sat making the videos, doing my best to edit them, and to share the very disappointing news that you won't be seeing Paul in the videos this week. Unfortunately, he's got a rather bad case of man flu, and well, we both had it, but obviously man flu's way worse than woman flu, so he won't be contributing this week. He has done a few bits and bobs, but basically he's in bed feeling sorry for himself. Hopefully he'll be back on track next week. Well, I came down into the field to try and get this branch out that's stuck into the ground. I can't pull it out. It must be at least 2 foot in the ground. It fell in one of the storms recently. But I decided to see if there were any signs of the orchids coming back, and I was quite excited because down here I can see what I think is the lizard orchid coming back. It didn't appear last year. I found it 2 years ago, and I was really pleased because I love lizard orchids, and we've only got sort of more common varieties on our land, so I should be keeping my eye on that one. And then down here I've marked them with sticks so Paul doesn't strim them or anything. We have, you can see the telltale spotted leaves, and this one is an early purple. They're fairly common around here, in fact massively common. There's thousands up on the side of the road, just round the corner, but I'm excited that we've got some as well. I'm going to go and have a look up the field, check out the bees on the way. Apologies for the background noise, Paul's mowing. These are the bee protection cubes that Paul made last week or the week before. I'm just looking at this hive, and there's definitely plenty of bee activity in that one. The funny little thing at the front with triangles is it's supposed to stop Asian hornets getting in, but they're not that effective, so that's why we're trying to create an even bigger barrier. But they're looking pretty good. So this is a kind of little bank between what we call the top field and the bottom field. There's the woodland. We've been in there today clearing out bits and bobs because we've got a woodland management course tomorrow, which is why I'm sort of wandering around looking for logs and things. And on this bank, and just at the bottom of this bank, there's quite a good group of early purple orchids, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to see signs of them today. There used to be cows in this field, and a lot of them got trampled, so we're going to try and keep it as a sort of nature reserve. Hope that they start to flourish. Haven't seen any yet. Okay, just as I was about to think there weren't any, there's two coming up there. Oh, another one there that hasn't got the spots on, but it's still an early purple, I believe. So they're looking good. Oh, I can't wait for, oh, there's some more over here. Also got wild leeks. Where are you, Missy? Come on, I'm down here. Come on. Oh, did you think you'd lost me? It's alright, I'm just looking for flowers. Meow. Oop. Just looking for flowers, don't worry. She's missed me because I've been in England She hasn't left me alone since I got back. Don't eat me wild leeks. Well, it's a lovely day and we're all ready for opening. Although I didn't get everything done because I came back from England on Monday and came down with the flu on Tuesday. I've been pretty rubbish all week, and now I've given it to Paul. Other thing that stumped me is came back and I spotted a whole load of salvia plants, like loads and loads and loads, that I've just had to take off sales. I mean, that one doesn't look too bad, but they're all curling up and I don't really understand why. They weren't dry. They were looking fine and maybe just starting to, one or two starting to look slightly ropey before I went away. And whereas I had a full bench of plenty of lovely healthy salvia plants, I've now got very sparse offerings. So, but I can't possibly sell these plants that are looking rubbish. Some of them may recover and some of them may not. It's not just the salvias, there's a few other bits as well. We had -12 in here. It went down to -12 overnight in January one night, and I knew that some of these had lost their leaves and may or may not recover. But the salvias were looking good. I mean, there's another bench of them down there. It's really disheartening. I feel like throwing in the towel sometimes. However, maybe we'll get some customers and it'll all be worthwhile. Well, it's been a pretty quiet day. Quite disappointing, really. However, when we get a quiet day, I generally make up for it in a way, make up for the time at least, by getting on with loads of my nursery work, and that means that I probably get a bit of time in the week where I can do something else. It's not time off. But what I'm doing at the moment is putting on our first batch of baby Christmas trees. I've done a lot of them already, and at least, you know, I've got some work done today, but yeah, we had 2 customers and they were not big spenders. But I've got a load of cuttings potted up and some seeds pricked out, Christmas trees. Yeah, they're not as big as I thought they were going to be by this time. But with a lot of trees, it takes 2 to 3 years before the roots really establish. And then they really take off. And we know this is a long-term crop anyway. We know it's going to be 8 years probably before they're big enough to sell. But it's one of our ideas for using the fields to sort of try and gain back a bit of the money we spent on them. So this is it's kind of like a stock tunnel, and these are all my baby Christmas trees that I potted up. I think there's roughly 100 with the last batch that still need watering. So hopefully in about 8 years they'll be big enough to sell as Christmas trees. I've got some more germinating. The idea is to plant some every year for the next 8 years, and then we can start harvesting them, starting with the first lot. I mean, I can't imagine them at the moment, but we've got 4 different varieties, so we'll have to see. But I'm just listening. I can really hear loads of bees outside the tunnel. Don't know if you can catch that. I'm going to go and have a look. I think they'll be on the shrubby honeysuckle. Interestingly, these bees that I can hear are actually on the maple flowers, mostly. Yeah, I don't know if you can make them out. They're all up there. One of the earlier trees to flower. This is Acer Nigundo. Well, it's a beautiful spring morning. It's Sunday, and I fancy making some nettle soup. And I haven't done any foraging yet this year, so I'm quite excited to go up the Shaman and see what I can find. There's plenty of nettles. I'm not taking them from the front, the bottom end of the Shaman, because the neighbour walks their dogs up here, and I think they stop and wee as soon as they can. So, I mean, I shall wash them, but I definitely prefer to have non-dog wee nettles. Oop, here's some wood on the trailer that I've got to process. Entrance to the woodland there. Do a little video in there in a minute. We've been doing some woodland management course this week, so we'll have a look at what we did. Actually, quite interesting what we've got all down here. This broadleaf, I'll pick one. This is, well, in French it's Aïdor, which is garlic of the woods. I think it's called wood garlic in England. Has a little pretty white flower later on. This leaf can be used to make pasta. It can be used to make quiche and bread and all sorts of things. I hate garlic, so I'm not going to be using this one, but Paul likes garlic. It's actually growing next to something which is very poisonous, so you have to be really careful not to mistake what you're picking. This is Arum maculatum, or lords and ladies. We definitely don't want that. But with the nettles, we're looking for just the top few leaves, the fresh new growth. Most people would probably prefer to wear gloves, but I'm not really bothered about nettle stings. And some of them, they're under a tree, some of them got a bit of bird poo on them. So I might move along a bit and see what else I can find. Oh, and we've not gone much further when we come across another good forage plant. These are wild leeks. I mean, most of them are not really big enough to cook with, in so much as using them like a baby leek or anything, but they're great source of chives most of the year round. There's one or two in this clump here that could be picked as a baby leek, but I actually have some that are growing wild in the garden along the edges, which I might dig a couple of those up rather than take these from the countryside. So the bees are really busy again today. They're enjoying those maple flowers. Don't know if you can make them out. Let's try and get a bit closer. Yeah, there they are. Look. Yeah, Paul hasn't been able to put the Asian hornet protection things he made around them just yet, because he needs to strim the area, and his strimmers broke. Well, all of his strimmers have broken, which made him really cross. And he's poorly now, and we've just had a really busy week, so no time to do anything like that. But hopefully we'll get them in place soon. Nettles. Everyone knows how to identify a nettle, don't they? Because it's the first plant any kid learns how to identify, so you don't fall off your bike into a nettle patch. I'm going to do, well, I've been doing some foraging this week, and I'm just about to have lunch of nettle soup with nettle bread and nettle bread croutons. I do lots of foraging at this time of year. There's fabulous things to go and pick in the hedgerows around us at this time of the year. But I thought I would concentrate today on nettles because, well, one, I've got to write an article for our local magazine about, well, I chose the topic nettles, and two, I just think that it's something that everyone can find a patch of nettles. Some of the things that I get in our country lanes, you'll not easily find everywhere. And nettles, yeah, most people consider them a weed. I'm going to title my article for next month, Nettles, if you can't beat them, eat them. And we're going to be looking at a beer recipe as well as some other interesting things you can do with nettles. And they're really nutritious. They're kind of on a par with spinach in terms of minerals, iron, antioxidants, vitamins. So they're really nutritious, and in times of austerity, which we keep passing in and out of, don't we? It looks like we've got a tough time ahead globally. Nettles are easy to find. You can pick them fresh most of the year. And we're going to be looking at loads of different recipes really over the next few weeks. But I'm hungry now. So I thoroughly washed my nettle tops and the wild leeks, and I'm planning to make some nettle bread and some nettle soup out of these. But when I was looking at how to prepare the nettles for nettle bread, I found a recipe for nettle beer and one for nettle liqueur. So I immediately went out and fetched some more nettles because, well, the nettle beer, I don't drink beer, but it looked really refreshing and it just sounds like fun to make. I'll have to do the liqueur tomorrow because it requires vodka and we don't have any, but we will remedy that tomorrow. But now I'm going to, first of all, make the bread and then the soup. I will just do it in little short clips. I'm going to use a bread machine because I hate kneading bread. It's just an experiment to see how it goes. The first stage with the bread is to take all the stalks out because you don't really want stalky bits in your bread. And I'm going to just blanch them in boiling water because the nettles don't sting once they're cooked. But I think probably within a dough they might, you never know whether they're going to be thoroughly cooked. So you just blanch them in some boiling water and that gets rid of the sting. Right, I'm going to go for it with my rhubarb bread, nettle bread, with my nettle bread. This is, well, it just says add a good handful of blanched rhubarb, done it again, nettle leaves. And I'm using, it's only around a bit, using my bread machine, which I haven't used for ages and ages because I've been on a gluten-free diet for about 3 years and it's really boring. I used to make some lovely bread out of just regular multi-grain bread flour. So I'm using that recipe and it's all in, it's all in there waiting to go except for the nettles and the water. So let's just chuck them in. Which recipe number I think it is. Ouch. I normally make this nettle soup or even sorrel soup, which is another great forage soup. I normally make them out of the last of my potatoes that I've homegrown and the last of our homegrown onions. So everything's completely, zero food miles and free local produce. However, I've run out of potatoes and onions because they were rubbish last year. It was so hot and dry, they just the harvest was very low. But these potatoes are in the bottom of a bag and they definitely won't use it. I'm just going to peel them and dice them, and then I'll come back to you. Now the onions are just softening up, don't want them to get too brown. I'm going to put the potatoes in, and I've got so about 2 large potatoes chopped up. Put them in. Some sage from the garden, just to make up for the lack of potatoes from the garden. And actually a spatula which we made last year from a hazelnut tree from our own woodland, and the heat is our own wood, so it's almost entirely homegrown. I'm going to put a bit of butter in though, that's not homegrown, we don't have any cows. A good knob of butter, and the trick now is to let these potatoes soften very slowly for a little while, and no multitasking and going away and forgetting that you're doing it either. Nice bit of caramelisation going on there, so I'm going to add the water, which at the moment it's an inexact amount, we'll just see. And a vegetable stock cube, a bit of salt and pepper, and I'm going to put I'm going to let the potatoes cook till they're pretty much soft before putting the nettles in, because the nettles don't want very long. We don't want them to retain the green colour and all the minerals and vitamins. Okay, potatoes are nice and soft. Nettles are going in. Again, an unspecified amount. I'm sure there are exact recipes out there, but I don't follow them. Just see what I've got. And they don't want too many minutes. Yeah, it looks alright. Might turn out to be a bit thick, but that's fine. I can add a bit more water. So just cook the nettles for a couple of minutes. Then add the seasoning. I already put a bit in, so I'm not putting loads. Black pepper, salt, white pepper, I think. And we'll whiz it up. Meanwhile, I have here a gallon of water and a load of nettles ready to boil for the beer. I have to boil it for about 15 minutes and then let it cool and add the yeast and lemon juice. Turns out I don't have any lemon juice, so I'll boil it tonight, cool it, and then add the juice and sugar and yeast tomorrow. So I left the nettle beer mix overnight to cool down because it was still hot at that time. I've sterilised this plastic bucket and got a coriander, a colander with, I don't have any cheesecloth, but this is an old net curtain that we use for straining things, obviously clean. It works just as well. So, oh, it's quite heavy, I'm not quite sure, I might spill this. Okay. wrong angle. Now it says in the recipe that I must squeeze out as much as I can from the nettles, but I figure they've been in overnight, so it might be quite strong already. Well, we'll see. Okay, I'm trying to squeeze down into the video. Just keep chopping me own head off. But I've been told I mustn't do portrait, so I'm trying. Right. So the boiled and strained nettle juice for nettle beer, and the zest of 1 lemon for the nettle liqueur. The recipe for the liqueur calls for an entire litre of vodka, and I'm not sure it's going to be worth it, so I'm just doing half quantities. But for the beer, I'm actually doing double quantities, because it was like make 1/4 of a gallon, and I thought there's no point. So there's a gallon of water that the nettles have been boiled in. It's requiring 2 lemons, juice of. The only thing is we don't actually have any brewer's yeast at the moment, so I might have to get that tomorrow and hope that some natural yeasts will develop inside there. I'll do the rest of the lemons in a moment. And it says a cup of sugar per gallon. Well, all my cups are different sizes, so I just chose a medium one. Okay, I'll switch that around, and that's it. You leave it with a cloth over the top for 3 days, and it should be fermenting by then. Then you can bottle it and leave it in those bottles that you can plop the tops off, so you can let the excess gas out for the first week, and then you refrigerate it, and you can save it for up to a year. We'll see. I'll leave that though, and just do so. Nettles is what I need. Bloody hell, I didn't wash them. Let's pause. So it seems like I lost part of this video on making the nettle liqueur. In there is nettles, a little bit of sugar, and some lemon zest. It's actually been going for 2 days. We're both still really poorly, and apologies, my brain has been absolutely fuddled. I've only just managed things. I've now got an ear infection in both ears. Not great. Paul's really poorly still. Hoping we're going to get this out here at the end of the week. Bit late. And we could be late with next week's video too, because it's Paul's birthday on Sunday, and we're actually off to Morocco for 2 nights. No, 3 nights, 2 days. So hopefully we might be a bit late, but hopefully we'll have something colourful and interesting to put out next week. You know what? It says it only takes 2 days to get this liqueur going. I might even give it a try. It might be a cure for earache. We'll see. Thanks for watching. See you next time.